I think sort of like the main selling point almost in communal is like the hindsight of it. Like in 20 years, most of the people we came up with will be doing crazy shit. There's literally no denying it, because if it's not us, then who else would it be? Like they would be here with us now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where would they be if not right here with us?
And how many people are?
So imagine like 20 years from now, everyone we came up with is running like the most interesting shit in the world, like deeply influencing, the world. And you look back in hindsight and you're like, oh, they were all at communal. Like you look at the Warhol book and, one of the slides is like, everyone was at Warhol Factory or some shit like that, you know what I mean? It's not just on the things I build, but like even like things commercially, like every single client right now that I work on is like, it has to be exactly what I say. Like it's so interesting, like in design school still they like teach us the whole thing about designing like 50 different things to pick one is like so insane to me. Like I was doing that when I was making merch in the music industry, and it was like the most soul crushing shit of all time. Like, and it's funny now that like I've gotten to the point where everyone I work with, I just, I'm like, this is your answer for you. You know what I mean? And it has to be this way or else I'm going to fire you. And I've literally, I actually fucking love to fire clients now. It's my passion. Because I just realized, like, bro, they teach in school, like, oh, you have to, do a lot of options because the client might like it, might not like it, and you got to go with the clients, you got to...
They're the ones paying you.
Yeah, but not just that, like, oh, sometimes you gotta go with the client likes and what you don't like, and I'm like, bro, this doesn't have to be your reality, you know what I mean? Like that's like you choose to be a victim with that, so, like, everything I do, and it also, like, I realized, like, when I was younger, that I need to be in this position that I am now. And luckily it's a lot better, where like every project I do, what I was telling you is like, they'll give me the full budget of the project, so I can like take care of all things, for everything. Because what I realized when I was younger, I would get hired for, when I was like 18, all the commercial work I was doing was like merch graphics, right? But then, I would see, I would give them the best design work they ever saw, but, they'd have the worst production, they'd have the worst distribution, they'd have the worst, web e-commerce experience, they'd have, and I'm like, right now, it's like so world building for me is like so important, like actually, like,
all of it matters.
Yeah, I mean, it always did, but like most people don't realize that, so it's like, that's why communal is like so important. Like it's fully immersive. Like, I want people to go to communal and you feel like you're like time traveling. You know what I mean? Like even the logo is from, the logo is also from a place in Portugal that my dad grew up in, that I've never been there, but he's described it to me as like he goes there and they literally are back 100 years. You know what I mean? Like the tech is, and sort of in a way, it's almost kind of good that I've never been there, so that like heightens my perception of it. Like I feel like it's like this real like safe haven away from like all of the world. You know what I mean? Like super like hideout type shit. So almost this idea of like this little town in Portugal is
stuck in the past.
Yeah, and it's sort of like what I'm trying to emulate a little bit. So we kind of got to this point where like, everything was automated. The travel agent or like, you know, we started off with like a human doing everything for you, and then sort of like, you know, every single brand has an e-commerce now. Everything has like a fast, high conversion rate, Shopify checkout. And then, you know, you got like the AI, you know, the AI bot that's like running you through like the customer service and shit. And I realized like it's so crazy now, because this is now the baseline for customer experience, and the actual luxury has once again gone full circle of what it used to be. And it's like, imagine how crazy is it now. Imagine if you were to go on a website and there's an actual person right there that you can call up and be like, you know, can you help me, you know, do this, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even at like stores and shit, they got like the fucking iPad that like you don't even talk to a person before you order some shit. So the luxury is once again actually a human person. So I actually, you know, initially launched Communal, and it was a Stripe checkout. You know, you just quickly order your reservations, and then I realized that, you know, brand identity is like so important and so strong to me. So if I'm trying to emulate a brand that's been around for 100 years, like,
You know, do the things that they're doing.
no, exactly. Like, imagine like you call up and, you know, so what we have now is the concierge, so you can get reservations and shit like directly with a person. You can only book Communal over the phone. Working on the branding of it, I always thought it was interesting, and it was like a very like learning moment when he was trying to come up with a name. Instead of just coming up with names, he was coming up with like fake scenarios where people were talking about the museum. So like when I'm like, oh, like we should go to Communal after this, like that's how he would like try to figure out like how, you know,
People would get there.
yeah, like when I first made Communal, I wanted the word communal to like replace dinner also. So like people started saying that, like, oh, like how many communals has it been, or like as like a noun, like you know what I mean, and not just like a name. Like communal is like, you know, same with mock too, like you know, it's purposely like lowercase so that it's not like a proper noun. As like a brand name, and it's more like a product, because people call mock-ups mocks now, like with the like the way it's spelled too. You know, like how crazy is that like, you know, the trampoline is the name of the actual brand. It's not the product, but we all associate it with a trampoline. You know, so like so I think
What's
that's
the
also
actual product name of a trampoline?
It's a good question.
I think it's just trampoline.
Yeah.
Trampoline by trampoline. Communal by communal.
Yeah, so I'm like almost...
Communal is physical.
Yeah, so I'm like 50-50 on whether I want to keep that part of the branding of like how communal means a dinner, because also now it's just confusing now when there's communals, but then there's also communal the place. So I was thinking like the dinner / events could be like gatherings, and then the place could be the refuge or some shit like that, you know. But I think it's important that like strong branding is like changing the whole vocabulary too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
I'm trying to think of a good example of that, like how McChicken or some shit, you know what I mean? Or McNugget.
McDonald's puts a McNugget.
No, yeah, because everything, like, they don't call it a chicken nugget. It's McNugget.
Yeah.
You know, Erwan being in LA, it's like a LA thing. You go to LA, like people who visit LA, they go to Erwan, and it's like a tourist attraction almost. Or like, you know, but not just for that reason. Like, you know, it'll be like iconic with New York. Is like, you know, to try to like branch it out too quick, it sort of like dilutes it in a way. And I was talking about a similar kind of concept, but like digitally, like in social media, with my boy that did friend.com. and he said like the same thing. Like every brand I've ever made, it sort of only exists on Instagram and a website, or sometimes only a website or only an Instagram, or like he pretty much said the same thing. That he only wants to. He doesn't want to have social media for friend.com because like all the ads just direct you to the website, and that's that. You know what I mean? It has the highest traffic. It has the highest concentration. Imagine you were to start a brand today, and it has, and I'm sure it works. But it really dilutes like your brand image when it's got a TikTok, a Twitter, an Instagram, it's got a website, and then your consumer is now split into 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's already enough that it has an Instagram, like, which I think is cool because eventually I'll build it up with like all the fucking like cool things that happen at Communal, and like really have like, like I want, the biggest artists that come up with us to like be, on there and be like, oh, look at, it really is this like safe haven for like all these like cool people to be at, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This like, so I definitely, I think what's really important to me is having like the highest concentration possible in one place. Because let's say there's 2 locations, it's a lot harder to have that like moment where like there's like people like packed and like outside the line being like please let me in, like I know Dan, like you know what I mean, or like people on the wait list, like or people like emailing the concierge and being like, you know what I mean, like I need to be in this location, like everyone's there, you know what I mean. You split up, you start splitting it up, like Luciano only has 1 location, and I think it's really interesting with them because they have that like super like brand legacy vibe to it too, where like you go in there and you see like all the photos plastered around the walls of like all these cool people that were there. So I almost like right now, and I'm sure it'll come back like in the trend cycle, like, but sort of like this like resurgence of like super like legacy brand, like Communal sort of. I'm trying to emulate like a brand that like has been around for 100 years in a way. Like you look at the logo and it's like a super like, detailed like crest.
Yeah, it's a crest.
You know what I mean? Like it's very rare to have like a super like graphic logo these days, and that's like just small things in like the design system that make you like perceive it differently. Like that it didn't, it wasn't just born, last May.
Yeah.
Well, I think right now, I guess what I'll say about like trying to even open it in the first place is that this is the first time for me that I'm gonna be raising money, right? So like every single project I've done in the past, like I've like fully self-funded, like Mock like totally runs on its own now, and that's something that I like funded like totally on my own, and like I take, all the risk kind of falls on me always, but I think this is the first time a project like, I was looking at like the commercial leases, and some of them, it's so interesting like how insane like a commercial lease is. There would be like, I'd be stuck with a building for like 5 years or some shit. Like we found like, better deals and like workarounds to that, but like this is really the first time like where I'm like, all right, maybe this is like a little crazy and I need like, some sort of backing. And I think what's interesting more than anything is like scaling. Like I just, I was just on the phone with my mom, and she was like saying how right now I have like so many crazy expenses, and it's all, I don't spend on myself at all, you know what I mean? It's all in the effort of scaling. So like, whether that be like building out a team, like in Mock there was like a in-house like engineer that was like shipping all these like things to the product, right? Or whatever, whoever I'm hiring, it's like with the intention of like a constant growth.
Yeah.
So I told her like, right now it's on a smaller scale where like, seeing like 20K a month in like charges, expenses is like scary as fuck sometimes. But I realize that this is like, it's just never gonna end. Like I'll be at, we'll be at a point where like hundreds of thousands a month are like, is the cost
Going
of like
in and out.
operating. Like what, what do you think like OpenAI's monthly expenses are or some shit? You know what I mean? Like this is just something, and a lot of times they're taking a loss too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Any
But they're
big
scaling it up.
Yeah, it's with the intention of scaling. Like, Amazon, in the 90s or early 2000s, like every single year was like a massive loss because, that was like an investment in the future.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's a constant investment in the future. And right now, communal would be like my biggest expense yet. Like, think about it. Like,
But it's also an investment in the future.
No, exactly. And I think, communal can very, very quickly turn a profit also because there's like such a big market for it, and it doesn't require that many customers. If you think about it, bro, like 100 customers, 100 members is almost $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like Mach doesn't make that, and it has like close to 10,000 customers. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, so really 100 people makes that much bread. You know what I mean? Like, I already know like way more than 100 people that fuck with communal. You know what I mean? Like, communal Instagram had like 100,000 impressions in just the last month. You know what I mean?
With no posts.
With nothing. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people that fuck with it. Like,
Curious.
like, bro, when I posted the last communal we did, I think in like the first hour that I posted the story, it had like on the Instagram story shares, it had like, I think 150 shares.
Oh yeah,
of people.
I had hundreds of shares on mine as well. It's like,
they're like, what is this thing?
no,
You know what I
no
mean?
one knew what it was. It was like, is it a dinner? Is it a,
Yeah, so I realized that this is really the first thing that is like a truly big expense in my life that I'm like, all right, like I need support in this. And right now it's like, money, I'm only with the intention of scaling. So I'm not like, I just want to see my ideas in the world. You know what I mean? So I'm like, the money comes later, but right now I need to be on like the ground level with the right people that can like
build it.
really build
the foundation of it all.
No, exactly, because it's like, bro, it's hard for this to lose. I think.
Yeah. As long as the right people are in the building.
Yeah.
And what have you done with the dinners? What like made you want to create a physical location when the dinners were already successful?
Scaling. I'm just thinking about scaling, for how long can I do a dinner, without it. I'm like always trying to see how far I can push my ideas,
And where's the location?
Well, I'm trying to get a place really, right in the city, right in like Soho almost like hidden in plain sight. Whether that be a like on the ground level kind of building, or even something that's like super high up, commercial loft kind
I like
of thing.
on the ground.
What?
I like on the ground. Everyone
Yeah.
can see.
Yeah, I just learned that there's like a lot more regulations about that if it is on the ground.
Like what?
I don't know, there's like some rules about like, I had like an advisor for a little bit that, that I don't work with really anymore, but is like a really good friend of mine, that sort of like would help me with all this like legal shit. But, I would like kind of say ideas, and pretty much I'd get like a whole list of like every
Why you can't do it.
possible, every possible regulation that like in the book. And then I realized like, like Steve Jobs isn't like a technical guy, so he didn't really know like the limitations of code or whatever. When I first learned how to make websites, one of my good friends who was like worked on Posh, like the ticket app, he was telling me, he was like, oh, it's actually so good that like you don't know, you know, what you can and can't do with code, because then there's like always like, you know, you can really think about anything and you'll find a way. And I think that's why like right now, just like on my like commercial work, like with clients, like people really fuck with my web work because
You see no limitation.
yeah, because I'm not like technical in terms of, you know, I'm very technical on design, but like not with the actual like, you
Behind
know,
the scenes.
yeah, like that one architect that like designed the craziest shit ever and actually would get it built, and like engineers hate him. He just died recently.
Frank Gehry.
Yeah,
Legend.
yeah. And his shit was like, there would be like wharf buildings.
Yeah, concert hall, the ones in like Europe.
So I think that's like my, you know, my legal strategy with communal is like, you know, there's got to be like,
There's a will, there's a way.
no, exactly, like there are some rules that like, oh, you can't serve alcohol past 2 a.m. or some shit, but like there's some loophole, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
also I'm not even like trying to make this into a bar or whatever, like, but think like that's a good example, you know?
I think that'll attract the same kind of people though, because that's how you push like a creative boundary, is by not worrying about the technical side of things, just making it happen.
Bro, and you know what I realized is like, somehow, some way, it always works out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when I did the last communal, it sold like really well. It sold out in like a week, I think. And it grossed the most because it had the most seats.
Yeah.
But as I was like building it, yeah, we just die right here.
That'd be crazy.
As I was building it, the expenses kept piling up, and I was like, oh, like am I losing money or some shit? And that same week, that the week right before communal, where I was like, holy shit, like this table is costing like 3,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so interesting. Like, it almost, I swear it was like an act of God, because I made so much money that week, like out of nowhere. Like, clients were like sending me shit that like was delayed. Like, you know, just that week I made 20K, and it was like God saying like, don't even worry about the money shit. Like, I'll take care of that. Just focus on the vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, how crazy is it that the 1 week before communal, where like all this money is pouring in, just to show like what a crazy coincidence it is, some shit on StockX that I sold, it was like some Travis's 2 years ago, that I totally like, I couldn't figure out how to like claim the money. It was like $800, and for some reason that, you know, that money that I forgot about hit my account that week. You know, where all the other money was coming in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that I forgot I even had. Like, it was like in every which direction, like bread was pouring in. So I was like, all right, so, you know, it's sort of like what we say about like not worrying about like the technical legal shit. Like, you know, almost like don't even worry about the money. Like, it'll just always come.
The money will come.
You know what I mean?
As long
like,
as the idea and the creativity and the concept is there, the money will come.
no, exactly. Like, I always stress out my mom, because the overhead is always crazy to like, you know, run the projects that I do, and she always stresses out, and I'm always like, I'm telling you, it somehow it always works out. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And I think that's the same. Yeah, I think just what you're building will attract the same-minded people, the people that are willing to spend their last dollar on their idea.
No, literally, it's so.
And those are going to be the people that take over the world.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Like, yeah. I'll spend every last dollar. You know what I mean? Like, it's like without, you know, like the idea of a savings account is like so crazy to me, because like you could like just use that to like push your ideas. Like, I tweeted something that was like, you know, the concept of a savings account is so crazy because it sort of conditions you into a low risk lifestyle.
Yeah.
So like immediately, like, you know,
Low reward.
as soon as you start making money, you're like, all right, this is gonna like slowly build for like the next 50 years in a Roth IRA or some shit. Like,
And by the time we're 70,
shit is worthless, bro.
everything
time is the
Everything
only
we
luxury.
could have done would have made us that in a week.
It's unbelievable, but like I always think that like, you know, right now, like, yeah, it's really interesting, especially like with our generation. Like, it's crazy how like there really is no competition, Loki. Like, you can really like outwork anyone. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's really fucking crazy. So I never have like fears for the futures. Like,
You can have all the talent in the world, but someone's working you. They're outworking you.
yeah, but also a lot of people don't have talent.
Yeah.
You know.
You should do communal there.
Where? Oh, like a nice ass house.
Yeah. That'd be lit. Ride them all in.
Yeah. I mean, eventually I will. I'll do.